Hello everyone, this is a new video in which we will solve an example application on while loops, and I have to say that regardless of the example itself, the idea that we present, which is computing sums, is very important in numerical calculations in science and engineering. So let's first read the problem statement. We are asked to calculate the sum of integers from 1 to 100 using two methods. The first method is using a while loop, and that's the one that we would like to emphasize. And the other one is with the help of the built-in function in MATLAB that's called sum. So using the sum built-in function. Let's start actually with the first one, with the while loop. Let's get a new script. Let's save this script. I'm planning to call this basic sum. So a basic sum script using while loops. So basic underscore sum underscore while. And let's remember together the idea of the while loop. So while loop, there is a while, some condition next to it, and then end. But if you remember, we said you have to have some sort of a loop variable that's defined above or before the while loop itself. So there should be a loop variable somewhere above, and then inside the loop, this loop variable has to be updated. Okay, so let's start with something very simple. Apparently I'm trying to calculate the sum of these integers from 1 to 100. So what I'm trying to do is to calculate 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way to 100. All right, and it's actually quite surprising that this problem is it's easy to calculate with pen and paper. There is an anecdote which you can look it up about Gauss solving this while I don't know, in primary school, something like that. The idea is very simple, is that you can take, the 1 with the 100, that gives you 101, the 2 with the 99, that gives you another 101, the 3 with the 98, because there should be 98 here, that also gives you 101. And in fact, there are how many pairs of these? So there are 50 pairs, and apparently if you do this simple calculation, that gives you 5050. Let's actually prove this, not really prove, but let's try to get this answer using MATLAB. Alright, so we will have a while, and the while has to have some condition, and obviously there should be an end for this while loop. So what kind of condition we will have? Let's try to calculate integers, or go over all the integers, starting from, let's say, 1. So my integer is 1, and I'm gonna say while this k, this integer k, while this k is let's see, while k is less than or equal 100. Okay, so that will cover all the possibilities starting from 1 to 100. What we want to calculate something which we will clarify in a second, and obviously this k needs to be changed inside the loop, as we learned. So the loop variable has to be updated inside the loop. So this is sort of the general structure. This is the general structure. But then the idea of summing, how do we sum? As I said, this is really very crucial idea, not only for the purpose of this example in while loops, but in general for computations, for performing numerical computations in science and engineering. So let's actually try to get a new page just to illustrate this idea. What is happening is that you are trying to calculate 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 systematically all the way to 100. So you need to keep track of each one of these. So how are we going to do this? Let's choose a variable. I'm going to call it my sum. And I don't want to call it sum because sum is a built-in function in MATLAB. So as we said, generally try to avoid common names when you define your variable. So my sum equals 0, starts as 0. 0 is a baseline, is a bottom line, on top of which I will systematically and gradually add each terms. And then inside the while loop, I will try to update the my sum with the extra k that we have. So let's try to trace this code for a couple of calculations. At the beginning, my sum is 0 and k is 1. And then, of course, the while loop condition is satisfied, so k is less than or equal 100. So the new my sum will be the old my sum, which is 0, plus k, which is 1. That gives you 1. And then you need to update the k, so the new k will be 1 plus 1, that gives you 2. So this is after the first cycle. You go back again to the start of the while loop. Is k still less than 100? Yes, of course. So you are going to calculate the new my sum equals the old my sum, which is 1, plus the new value of k, which is 2, and that gives you 3. So now you manage to calculate this term plus this term. Of course, you need to update k. So k equals the old k, which is 2, plus 1. So that gives you 3. One cycle finished. You go back to the beginning of the while loop. Is the k less than 100? Yes, it is. So you will keep going and you calculate the new my sum is 3 plus 3. So now I counted for the third term in the sum, right? That gives you 6. And of course, k needs to be updated and it will become 4. And you keep going, right? Let's actually demonstrate this by displaying my sum at the end. Oh, sorry, it's my sum. Let's run this code, save and run script. So you see the value is really 50-50 as we discussed with the simple pen and paper that we showed before. Now let's try to use the built-in function sum. Well, to do this, you need to define an array that contains the elements from 1 to 100. And we learned how to define arrays. So let's actually write a comment here. Another method using the built-in function, which is called sum. Basically, you need to start by defining an array that contains the elements starting from 1 to 100. And let me define a variable for the sum. I'm going to call it MATLAB sum. Okay, I can call it anything. I decided to call it MATLAB sum. And that's basically sum of x. So you see, it's very straightforward. You just define an array and you ask MATLAB to sum it. Okay, so let's save and run and see if it's going to give us the same answer. So yes, so the first answer using the while loop is 50-50 and the MATLAB sum is also 50-50. You might actually notice that the built-in function is much easier, and it is actually recommended to use built-in functions whenever you can, except at the beginning of your learning stage of programming. At this stage, I would actually discourage using built-in function a lot, but then once you master the ideas of programming, you can of course use them because they are usually faster in terms of the number of lines you write. However, I have to say also, in terms of memory, the sum idea, the built-in function idea, is actually not efficient memory-wise because you need to store a whole array of elements before you calculate the sum. While using our while loop, there is no single array. All what I need is just two variables, two scalars, my sum and k. So I still like that we learn the while loop idea, or our own idea of calculating the sum, because also not only it's memory saving, but it's also sometimes there are cases where you cannot simply lend them to the simple sum function built in MATLAB. All right, thank you so much, and talk to you in another video.